seriously here till 7. He said, "No, it's not 30." I mean, no, he was 7, which we don't like.
Wow. House quiet.
He just was boring.
All right, guys, welcome back. Out of post session, we'll go next. We have no stakeholder comments tonight, so now we'll go to the approval of the March meeting minutes. Can I get a motion to approve the March minutes?
April 12th.
Is it what?
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Make a motion.
April 12th, sorry.
Michelle's making the motion.
You're right, sorry, April 12th. Meeting minutes.
So moved.
Can I get, all right. Any discussion? Nope. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
What gave me the first and the second?
Governance committee, I don't think we had anything, did we, this, okay? All right, so finance.
All right, accounts payable for April, just a few highlights here. Apple Inc., we paid them just under $300,000, and that was for the replacement of the teacher MacBook fleet. We budgeted just under $400,000, so there's still a little bit left there to spend, but what the budget was the computers and then peripherals, and so there's still software to purchase and accessories. So just letting you know where we're at on that. The gallery, we had a fantastic evening in Paris last month, and this month. We paid them last month. And it does feel like last month. $32,000, so that was one highlight there. In charge, that's for the electrification bus grant, bus rebate. And so we paid them $75,000, and part of that's being reimbursed by the Evergy rebate, $65,000. And then last one there is PM contracting. This is part of the Go Bond HVAC auditorium at Cherry, and so we paid them just a little over $60,000 for that project. The total project cost is $100,000, so this is just a piece of that project. Any questions over accounts payable or the data file?
Can I get a motion to approve the April 2026 accounts payable transactions?
So moved.
Second.
I'll second.
All right. Any discussion, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries.
Very high level on the financial statements for the month of March. If we're just looking at the cash that came in, cash that went out, the school received more than spent by about $2 million. The biggest swing there is we finally got our Go Bond dollars. It was a long drawn out process, but anyways, we got those finally. And so year to date, we received more than we spent by $1.4 million. So we were expecting that for some time now. These are the financial statements that that EdOps puts together for us. The biggest thing I want you to hone in on is on that bottom row in the middle, the negative 227. That's what we're projecting as the deficit currently for this year. Again, we budgeted to the right of that $2.8 million deficit, but we paused like the classroom refresh of $2 million. So the $200,000 is what we're thinking. However, if you note on the executive summary from EdOps, the last sentence of the first paragraph, in sum, we'd expect deficit projection to move towards neutral, so closer to break even as we wind up the fiscal year. So as we get closer to the end of the year, we do think it's going to move more towards break even rather than the $200,000 deficit. This is more or less just a follow-up. Last board meeting, we talked about the line of credit. There was a term change, so Lauren had asked about if there were any term changes within the line of credit, and there is. One thing that the bank came back with is a rest period. So now that we're moving, toward $1 million line of credit, which we don't expect to use, and we expressed that to the bank, and they said, okay, well then we want to put this rest period in each month, because if we need to borrow $1 million to cover payroll, there's a problem. So they just want to make sure that they cover themselves, it also carries on their books. And so they're requiring this 5-day rest period. Again, we're not planning to use it, it's there as a backstop. I don't see a problem with including it. Mr. Bang might disagree with me on that, but I didn't see an issue with that. Michelle's already signed off on it, but we just wanted to inform the board. There was a term change there, and we're just informing you. Next item is for professional development during summer school. Historically, we haven't paid teachers that weren't working summer school for PD, professional development days, and so what we're planning to do there is to pay those staff just like as if they were working summer school, so 80% of their day rate. Now, we do have some staff members that also participate during summer school, and we incentivize pay based on a tiering, so if they're there 100% of the time, we pay them 100% of their day rate. If they're only there a certain number of days, less than the 100%, then we pay them 90%. Again, it's an incentive. So those staff members that are participating in summer school that miss some days due to professional development, we'll count those as if they were there 100%. So they would still get their 100% day rate as an incentive. So just informing the board, we're paying stipends for the professional development there. Last one there is that we're proposing that we move the salary cap for new hires. And so Laura's helped on this quite a bit, so thank you, Laura. What we're proposing is to move the salary cap of incoming teachers from 20 years of experience to 25 years. This aligns with all charters in our area as well as the majority of public schools. This will increase recruitment for high qualified and experienced teachers. Just reading from the slides here, increase retention rates for current teachers, and then align existing staff with this new schedule. And so the impact there is 22 teachers, and it's $99,000. We do have that baked into the budget for next year already, and we'll visit those slides in here in just a moment.
So can I get a motion to approve moving the salary cap to incoming teachers from 20 years to 25 years of experience?
Do we have any questions though before we?
I was just going to ask after the motion.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yes, that's okay.
So moved.
All right. Can I get a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion? Questions?
It's good.
All right.
Oh, we need it for existing teachers, not incoming teachers.
Right, because you say the 22 is existing.
Incoming and existing. Okay, sorry, I worded it wrong. Okay, starting over. Can I get a motion to move the salary cap for incoming and existing teachers to from 20 years of experience to 25 years of experience?
So moved.
All right. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Sorry for the confusion on that.
That's okay. Me too.
All right, so we want to go over the budget for next year. All right, so what we're looking at here for this presentation, mainly we want to go over budget requirements, what your financial responsibility is. We have an executive summary. We'll look at some revenue assumptions, expense assumptions, and then we'll also look at the fund balance. This is just mainly to give you an overview of the budget. We're not approving the budget tonight. This is to get your appetite wet, excited. And so then if you have questions too, you can think of those over the next month. And then at the board retreat, we'll do a final presentation and you'll vote to approve at that point in time. So objectives here are just to review the key budget reminders for the board, present estimated revenues, explain how the school uses those revenues, how they're allocated between operating and capital expenses, and then we'll discuss any items there. And so just as a reminder, as board policy, each year, superintendent of schools or a representative is required to submit to the Board of Education for their consideration a detailed annual budget showing estimates of income and expenditures for the ensuing fiscal year. The board may accept, reject, modify, or request revisions of the budget, but will adopt a budget by June 30th. That's the key, is we have to have a budget approved by June 30th by law. And so by law, the approved estimate estimated expenditures for each fund cannot exceed the estimated revenues to be received plus the unencumbered beginning cash balance for the fund. In layman's terms, expenses less your revenues have to be less than or equal to the beginning fund balance. So we can't have deficit spending beyond what our fund balance has. We have $8 million in fund balance. We couldn't spend, more than that $8 million at the end of the year over what we had taken in less our expenses. So expenses less revenues have to be less than the beginning fund balance. Also, as a key point too, it's not on the slides here, but just as fiduciaries, you have certain financial responsibilities, and so you provide financial oversight for the school. You oversee essentially the operating budget to protect resources of the school, and you should really use the strategic goals and make sure that they're lining up as a guide to the budget. So the executive summary. So for next year's budget, we're calling for a modest surplus. So when we're looking at current year, we also have next year, which is the budget that we're projecting. Right now, we're projecting a net income of $234,000. That's even after extraordinary expenses. So we're projecting a modest surplus driven by increased pupil revenue while filling out staff needs. So we're increasing our staff costs here. I'll talk more about that here in a minute. And then adding also a bus to our fleet as well, which is captured in the extraordinary expenses. Revenue year over year. It's set to increase due to the per pupil payment. We talked about how we're being paid currently on $14,550 in prior board meetings. We're expecting that to increase to $15,100. That is net of a PYC, prior year correction. So if you remember, we went through where Desi had to take back some money from us because we were overpaid last year. We are actually expecting that again next year. And so this $15,100 is net of a PYC. And so we do think it's going to be like $15,700, but conservatively, we're budgeting $15,100. And so, as notes, it seems to be like a conservative estimate. On the expense side, year-over-year expenses increased due to the personnel. Also, facility transitions. We have a new transition for the middle school, high school, and then also, and then the operating costs are expected to increase if we have facility transition. And then also, transportation. We had an increase in liability insurance this year, and so we're accounting for the increase in liability. Some key KPIs, some key performance indicators, they remain strong. We'll get to those in slide 9, but essentially indicates that the school can handle growth.
And so those facility transitions, that line item was the occupancy service?
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. So digging a little bit deeper into revenue. So our local revenues, that would be like our sales tax dollars that we receive. Also included in our local revenue would be the interest income that we get off of the bank. So what you'll notice here is we have a 1.1% increase there. It's not much, but it's based on, like I said, Prop C, which is sales tax revenue, and that's actually based on 5 years combined WAM-WADA, CWW. And so we're expecting that to be a little bit higher next year than it was this year. Next line there is state revenue. We're also expecting an increase there, and that's the per pupil revenue. So that $14,550 going up to the $15,100. That's the biggest generator of our incomes for the school. For federal revenues, we're basing those off of the DESE initial allocations. Those can change before from now till June. Private grants and donations, we're still finalizing that. Still need to meet with Allison on finalizing donations. But right now we we have that holding flat essentially. And then earned fees is just a term that our accountants use. That includes our food payments from students, not the reimbursement from the state, but food payments from our families, trip payments, field trips as well, a little bit of rental income that we get off of our bus lot, and then student activity receipts or fundraising. But one thing you'll note is it decreases quite a bit. What was included there this year was the Go Bond funds that we received, so that 1.8 that we received on Go Bond dollars. That's included in our current year. We've excluded it for our draft budget for now, as well as the EPA project, just to kind of get you back to what a regular year kind of looks like there. A little further into state revenue drivers. Just kind of reading this like a book, starting on the left-hand side. WAM, that's the weighted average membership. You can kind of think of it as driven by enrollment. And so we're scaling that up because we're adding students essentially. So 1591 going up to 1624. WADA, that's the weighted average daily attendance. So essentially our membership multiplied by an attendance percentage right around 94%. So we're increasing there as well, again, because of increased enrollment. And then we have a combined WAM-WADA. And so it's a combination of those two factors as well as the additional weights that we receive. So it costs extra to educate some of our students, and so we get additional weights by the state. And so that's increasing essentially 43.
And that's inclusive of summer school?
Inclusive of summer school, yes. And so then the WAM-WADA dollar amount, again, we've already covered this in a couple slides here, $14,450, $550, going up to the $15,100. So again, it's driven by the increase in local aid and decrease in PCPS in this CWW, and that's outlined in the bottom. So Academy Lafayette is expecting small enrollment increase for next year. With this increase comes an increase in ADA as well as weighted ADA. Third point there is, whereas the relationship with WAM-WADA was, and so they're going to phase in for this new WAM-WADA that was new for this year. Right now it's a phase in at 10%, 90% for our current year. Next year it's going to be at 20%, 8%. And so they multiply that WAM by the 20% and the WADA by 8% next year. Meaning that the WAM will have a greater impact on CWW next year. So most significantly, local aid will increase from $255 million to $283 million based on current estimations. And so that's driving $750 or $650 increase. On the expense side, so we're increasing salaries by about 14% across the board. And you might hear that and say, wow, that's a lot. But we've had some unfilled positions. That's why we've had savings in our current year projection. So there's been several positions that have gone unfilled. And so we're also adding a few extra positions. We've gone over those in the Finance Committee. We can share those out to the board. But essentially about $820,000 in instructional positions. And again, some of that includes unfilled positions that went unfilled this year. Also some student support staff, $45,000. One of those would be like the after school and summer school position. That's just a piece of that. And then also full-time transportation, $260,000. A piece of that also is some that was hired here at the end of this year. And so again, we see a slight difference because it wasn't filled in our projection number for the current year. On benefits and taxes, allocation also increases just as a function of salaries, so higher because of increase in salaries, but also the benefits program also is scaling. Staff-related costs, 2% inflationary costs there baked in. Rent, so the amount that we pay at the Armor location to our subsidiary entity, we're keeping that as if we're still paying it. Next year, occupancy service, we plan to keep Armor operating costs plus an additional 100,000 square feet transition. So that's why we're scaling those costs up.
So that means the Westport building.
Yes, sir. The next three are just regular inflationary costs is what we're expecting. Student direct expenses, costs that go to educate our students, food service, scaling it by 2%, and then office and business also a 3% scale there. And then last thing is transportation, a little bump there, adding in, like I mentioned, the bus liability insurance.
Are you seeing a big difference in fuel? Like, is that accounted for?
There hasn't been a huge uptick. We will be over budget on fuel this year, but it's not like outrageous.
Nothing like, okay,
Right.
okay.
Is your point that we should budget for more for next year, assuming the costs are going to stay high?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, if we look at, I don't know when they're gonna go down. And I realize we'll be offset a little bit because we'll have a couple of those, or we'll have some electric buses, but yeah, maybe just looking at that to see if it offsets it enough.
Fantastic. Thank you. This next one is the CapEx and some KPIs as well. So what we wanted to show here was just some of the extraordinary or capital expenses that we incurred during the year and comparing it to last year. So transportation, we had to replaced 2 buses, and then we also had some insurance recovery, or we had to replace a bus with insurance proceeds, and so we spent $308,000. Next year, we're planning just to have to replace 1 to 2 buses in our fleet, $250,000. Again, what's excluded from the draft budget is the EPA project. I got that on another slide though for you to see what's going on there. Debt service, no change there is what we're expecting in the initial draft here. Facility improvements, just our normal improvements. However, what we notice here is the decrease, and it's because GO bond is excluded from the draft budget.
I think for next year, we're going to have to pay for the HVAC.
The windows and HVAC.
So there's going to be large expenses.
Yeah.
They're going to be fully offset by the GO bond.
Yes, and I've got another slide here on, that's right. So total extraordinary expenses, we're expecting about $1 million there. And then just some KPIs, some key performance indicators. So we're expecting cash end this year is $8.6 million. The way it's landing right now, this draft budget, $18.8 million. So essentially improving cash by $234,000. Gross margin, we are expecting that to decrease a little bit, but it's at an appropriate, 5% is at an appropriate level. You notice the monthly financial statements that come out, you'll see on the budget, on the slides, they'll usually include a gross margin, and so take a look at that also for a KPI, just ongoing. Fund balance percentage, again, the board target's about 12 to 20%. We're at 36 is what we're expecting by the end of this year. Next year, 33, the way the draft budget's laid out. And then days of cash on hand, 132. Next year, 121. Usually, EdOps recommends about 60. So we're still strong on days of cash. And so, just a deeper dive into the tentative CapEx. The way I've got this laid out is, even though it's extraordinary, but a regular extraordinary expense, and then what we think may happen next year is EPA and GO bond. And what we're expecting there is a wash on these. That's why we haven't really put them into the draft budget at the moment. And so if they wash out, then it's essentially a net zero on those 2 categories. But just kind of reading this all select book, transportation CapEx, so what we're expecting is that 1 to 2 bus replacement, major repairs, $250,000. Keeping in line in that regular debt service, still at $426,000. Facility improvements, plumbing, boiler work at Cherry and Oak, we're estimating maybe $100,000 there. Asphalt repairs for Cherry and Oak, $250,000, and then miscellaneous roof repairs, $25,000. EPA, the electrification project, 4 buses and infrastructure, $1.4 million. But again, we're expecting that to wash based on timing. So we may have a little bit of a timing issue there, and so we may end up spending $200,000. So maybe that might be $200,000 more that we get on the revenue side. We'll finalize that for next board meeting. And then Govan, the HVAC windows, Oak HVAC and windows, $3 million is what we're expecting that to have to spend next year. It's a $3.7 million project, so just a piece of that being spent next year. And then the middle school, high school project, not expanding seats, we're expecting to spend $5 million. But just remember that with the Govan, there will be a reimbursement, so
Yeah.
we have a wash. That's it.
You did.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Okay, so how have we treated the Westport possible purchase here? I could see the extra expenses on the operating, but I didn't see anything on the debt side.
So we haven't baked in any debt service expense in the budget.
Gotcha.
But essentially,
But it will be for what we approve,
Yes,
if we have the
If we get to
number,
that
that's
point.
true.
Yes,
So we may have to do another approval.
yes, we may have to do an amended budget once we close.
Yep.
If we close.
and essentially, we will be using a portion of the reserve fund to finance the purchase of the wheels of that.
But right now, we're just gonna hold, because what we know is what we know.
Well, who knows what we know.
Gotcha. I'm good with that.
Any other questions?
Okay. Culture and climate. You want to talk about Parent Academy?
Yeah, we had it, and I think that, we had a really strong turnout this year, and so I feel like even the way we set it up to where the parents, got a chance to hear the students speak in French, I think that went really, really well. And I just think us being able to shift our narrative around climate and culture and then moving it from the standpoint of French immersion and focusing on reading, I think it went really well, and we're looking forward to really being able to hit the ground running next year with our Parent Academy, so that we kind of start with the momentum next year and continue to build. So we're a little spotty this year because of the transfer from the DEI committee to the climate and culture committee. But I do feel like our kind of ending year launch went really, really well.
It was fun.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And again, thanks to Michelle Mulai, he's not here, but he did a fantastic job
Yes, he
coordinating.
You did a
everything.
great job.
It was
Yeah.
really good.
And Heather, of course.
Yeah.
Heather's in this thing.
Alison?
I was asking Heather how many people came. Sounds like a lot. Okay, evening in Paris. I have even better numbers to share.
Is a dream team over there, the two?
Huh?
The two dream teams over there?
The dream team.
The cherry dream team.
And then Zoltar. I don't know if you guys, I actually have a great video of
That's pretty good.
Olivier going up.
Oh, me?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
It's pretty good. Going up to Zoltar, doing what? But Zoltar is a cherry parent. So we actually, since I put these slides together, our actual estimated gross, which is more factual now, is 175,600. Incredible. Thank you to everybody who made this possible. It is our most successful evening in Paris, to my knowledge, based off all the numbers we have. It actually was our 20th evening in Paris too, but our 21st year. Let's keep talking.
Thank you.
A reminder is that our budgeted gross for this was 132.6 based off of previous years, so blew that out of the water. We are currently estimating about 27% overhead, so I'm sharing that as a reminder that for our events like this, we like to stay under 30%. My goal is actually 25%, but we spend a little more than saw for food and venue because we need to use their food, which is where that 32,000 came in with the venue. So the venue itself only cost about 6,000, and then there was some additional fees. So anyway, 27% is what we're estimating for overhead, which would mean an estimated net of 128, just over 128,000. So pretty cool. We're really proud of that. Our parent committee just blew it out of the water. So if any of you are listening, thank you for that. But also thank you to our school community holistically. It took a lot of work to pull this off, whether you're volunteering or participating or cheering us on from afar. Thank you. It was pretty impressive.
And I will say those of us, a lot of parents were at the track meet that night.
Oh my gosh, yes,
It was
and that was
state
just
track, but everybody was following
Oh,
stuff and getting
yay.
updates from people out there on how the live auction was going.
It
and
was
everything.
crazy.
So
The live
even
auction-
people not there, we were into it.
Yeah, we had a true auctioneering team this year. That was a worthwhile expense because they just made the energy in the room. And then just a lot of.
I was just saying, I don't know if it can work, but if you can try to avoid scheduling it,
That is exactly what we did avoid. We scheduled it for that weekend because the track meet was supposed to be the weekend before.
Yeah.
And then after we confirmed and put a down payment on and couldn't budge, state track got moved to that weekend. And we specifically planned around that. Because honestly, traditionally, May is not a great date for this. And actually, Mr. Bang and I had a conversation about that because, we're pretty firm about not doing events in May for that reason. But we were like, oh, this is great. Our parents will all be there. This will work out better.
Sounds like it was still very successful.
It was, but it was like,
You couldn't have held the
so many
additional
of our
parents coming,
families,
so.
yes, for that reason.
how much bigger was the venue?
Done on overflow.
We
Yeah, there you
had
go.
over 400 people were there.
And last year was how many?
330.
Yeah, it's a little bigger.
Yeah.
That's nice.
And to your point, I mean, not having, we still wouldn't have had space, but we would have made space. So we are gonna continue looking for venues.
I think it was nice to have also these big communal tables.
Yeah,
So, because, not everybody buys a
yeah,
group table, so I think it was nice. In the past, we kind of shoved to the side.
yeah, exactly. And they were a little bit higher in a way.
Yeah, so
The tall tables were not very.
No, it wasn't.
yeah, I think the
Yes.
setup was really good.
Yeah, well, thank you to Bethany Gildas for that, because she is the creative
Yeah,
mind
she's pretty
behind
amazing.
all the design.
Those banners were pretty
Did you guys
amazing.
tour Joe B yet?
We're doing it tomorrow.
Okay,
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. So we're already starting our look for next year, starting tomorrow, and then we have a committee debrief coming up next week. So hopefully get some good headway going into next year. Okay, and then just a few more updates. AL in the news. We had a couple of teachers and administrative staff and parents and students in a story within the Missouri Independent. I can't recall if I shared this last month or not, but this story was kind of unique. It kind of spoke towards, it was specifically about visa delays, but it spoke towards our bigger world impact. So we were connected to this reporter through a reporter I worked with, or a communications person I worked with in New England. This reporter is from Missouri, but they're doing an independent study over in Poland right now. And they were then having to dial in to speak with some of our teachers very early in the morning on our end to get this story written for the Missouri Independent. And so I thought it was just kind of a cool little nod to our worldly culture that even, halfway across the world, they're hearing about this. And it's a sweet article, so if you haven't read it yet, I really encourage you to. And then department updates, we're continuing to review communication software vendors ahead of 26-27 school year. Since I wrote that in there, we've kind of paused that though and decided we're not at a spot to fully move forward yet, and we're gonna reevaluate that in the fall. And then I'll have final department numbers in June, hopefully. Any questions? Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, for the board performance committee met, we just reviewed remember, it's for next year's calendar, data calendar. We talked about, I think we've not moved anything. One thing we need to be aware of is this is MCIP 6 plan require that the board has a quarterly review of our strategic plan. The great thing is we already have this that most board did not have it. When I presented to the DESI two years ago, I think, because we were one of the districts who tried to be the pilot, and I shared with them how we share with our board the data and the strategic plan. Now, what we need to be intentional on once a quarter to review our plan. So we already have a review in June, and we have different review of part of the plan every month. If you look at it, we look at the goals. We do it in August. We look at student enrollment, but also demographic. We look at October. We look at retention, and also for academic part, and so on. So what we need to think about is how do we get those quarterly review and put them together or not. So that's the discussion we need to have. Yeah, MCP is, there's a lot of work, a lot of detail that to take into account in terms of reporting for board, academic, and community, and so on. So this is what we have. So every year we'll have the retreat, the second Saturday of the month, of June, same thing. So again, May will be also planning the board retreat, things the same thing. Any questions, suggestions, things you don't like here? So we need to change for the calendar?
We had talked about doing a transportation review.
Yes,
Which
the
we didn't do this
number,
year.
yes, you're right. You're right. I think we, at the end of the semester, so we need to define which part, February is kind of crazy. We need to find where to put it at the end of the semester.
Maybe December, if there's nothing.
December, we don't have a meeting in November, because of remember, the committee meets the month before.
Okay.
And it's gonna be around, you did 2 years mistake. It's around the Thanksgiving, we are out.
Okay.
And we were not able to meet, but we can, when December, the semester is not done, it's good to do it at the end, look at the semester. Maybe sometime in, yeah, we can do it here.
February when we're doing
So February here, we should be able to do semester transportation data too. Okay? I see that, there's also March, also there's nothing.
Yeah, there's nothing.
We can do it to March, but the committee would like to meet when we have consistent data. We don't wanna have live meetings.
Yeah.
So, but let's try to put it there, and discipline always takes time and attendance, so we need to be careful there.
Mm-hmm.
So I will tentatively put in March, so that we will have time to look at it, what we have. Okay?
Perfect.
March. Any other?
What year are we in of our strategic plan? Are we in year 3?
Third year this year, yes, we have 2 more years.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so, superintendent report. So for the recognition, Cherry recognition, the boot camp, Cherry started a boot camp this year to better prepare and motivate the kids for the mock test. So we're recognizing Mariam Ate, Bashir, Sheila Baskin, Mustafa Ulaimer, Koran Gomsu, Yvette Nyafuna for their hard work making our Saturday math camp a success for students. They plan hands-on activities and math games and spend time doing feedback of math previous item. Use the team. Oak is recognized the music teacher Sheikh Nya. Thank you to our music teacher Sheikh Nya for preparing each grade level for such beautiful concerts. His dedication made them a wonderful success. And for our building, Gresham Harbinger High School, Biology and BP, Environmental System and Societies teacher. Gresham brings science to life and provides meaningful hands-on learning experience beyond the classroom. This year, she led 10 students at the State Enviroton, showcasing both her leadership and the students' growth. So for the leadership recognition, we have two people. Thank you again for the Development Committee for fantastic, fun and successful evening in Paris. We have the team, Holly, and the director, Ali. Thank you very much. It was fantastic. And then Whitney, and also who is our admissions director, and also Pastor Smith, and all the campuses for their kindergarten roundup. Extremely successful. Jerry and Oak principals did a good job, and teams also, and also all the parents volunteered, and the special education team, they worked really hard to make it happen. But Stephen, from the last few months, I've been dragging him everywhere, talking about facility, because you don't have a facility director or something. So touring with Oak and Arma and everywhere. Thank you for your hard work and spending a lot of time dealing with different things.
Look at his baby face without that.
So we congratulate.
Before and after the project.
Sorry, before the meeting, after the.
So we congratulate Dr. Marissa Paul, who is also nominated as the 2026 Excellence Award finalist. So we'll know the winner. It's going to be at the Kaufman Stadium.
Yeah.
We'll see. And we're welcoming Michael Davis also. We talked about it. He is our new transportation manager. Doing a great job. It's make it really, really smooth for us. You know what she's doing and doing really well.
Okay.
Awesome.
And then, as you know, this is our last board meeting, and Dorothy is retiring after 15 years of service as teacher and vice principal at Academy Lafayette. So we've already hired one, but we'll announce it to the board and to the rest of the community. We had a committee of 3. We have Laura, as the director of HR, and one teacher, Oak, and the principal, and myself. So came to an agreement, anonymous.
Awesome. Yeah, Madam Warner will be missed.
Very much.
So, congratulations to our class of 2026. So tomorrow at 7 o'clock at the Scottish Rite Temple. Hopefully everybody will be there. So if you've not received an invitation or something, we'll make sure you get it, and celebrating our 3rd graduating class. Now it's going to be 35. It's big, yeah.
It's huge.
Big, yeah.
I do know, like, my son talked about just how much excitement there was in the building last
Yeah.
week when they all
They
came
came.
over and went through. Yeah.
They came there, it was good. Saturday. So now we are doing the IB diploma exams. It's a lot of work for our kids. They're taking the exams at the same time that every student around the world for the IB. So as I just said it, kindergarten roundup, Oak and Cherry from April 20th and May 1st. Was very well. Mock testing is going on now. We finished the NWA in April, doing the mock test. 7th grade are in France. Looks like they have, one group has some delay. I just learned about it. So they may be going to Atlanta, maybe spending the night there. So one group is already gone, yes. And one group other issue is their plane is delayed.
Is that Chase's turn?
Yes.
Yeah.
They've got, I think
There's a Gary's
they're on
group,
there.
yeah.
They're on the way.
They're on there? Okay.
You're on the way now to Atlanta?
Yeah.
Okay, good. That's great. So graduation tomorrow, I just said it. So K-5 hiring, 700 teacher hired and 3 ALL teachers, which is great. When all in this atmosphere, it's really hard to find teachers, especially homeroom. So visa challenges, one teacher got her visa and returned to work. already, so, which is good. We're still waiting for the other one. So this is the proposition, the Arnold Building wants to change this policy. I put it on the folder. Remember, this one is the policy we voted on yes, it was this time last year or something like that. For teachers, is banning electronic communication device. But we implemented it for 1 year. They realized that the school hours need to be defined because kids think that they can come to the school and take them until the bell ring. It creates some issue. So what is proposed is school hours is defined. See, okay, I'm trying to. The policy is number one. It says school hours are defined as the period from the start of the first instructional block to the conclusion of the last instructional period, including passing time. What they're proposing is school hours defined as when students arrive on campus until the end of the instructional day. So that's one change. And second one is the consequences. We are talking about confiscation and the detention of detention mark, 1 mark, and then second one is third mark, automatic Saturday school with mandatory parent meeting, in-school suspension and out-of-school suspension with mandatory re-entry meetings. What we have is, what is going here is the expulsion. In the current version we have confiscation and parents contact, and then student and parents start conferences, Saturday school detention, in-school suspension, 108-day out-of-school suspension, expulsion. To just take this one because it's more realistic for an issue than the first one. So that's what they're proposing to change it.
So I think about when the kids go on field trips, and they'll go on a field trip, they'll go to a restaurant, and they have their devices because they have their credit cards on them to pay. Does that count?
They should not.
So
How did you do 5 years ago when you don't have credit card in the?
we pay cash, but some places don't take cash.
It's different now, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
I don't even bring my wallet anywhere anymore.
I mean, that's the only thing that kind of concerns me about this is it doesn't account for that.
So the thing is, even for the first one, we didn't have that here.
Mm-hmm.
In the first
Right.
one,
Right.
we don't have that one. So it's like the watch that kids have that have. Yeah, it's
So the Apple Watch is included in
it's
that?
included. You
It's
don't have
included,
it's included
Yeah,
that.
So they're not supposed to have an Apple Watch at all?
No,
my daughter doesn't wear
No.
hers to school.
the Apple Watch, no what things. So
I don't think we knew that. Because I just got them and they took them to school. We had no idea. So is it communicated them at the beginning of the year? I mean, they're like on the thing where
It is
they
communicated.
it's
I think,
blocked, it's blocked, they can't communicate. I mean, there's a system, but.
So
So are there you have it for like the first and second, so how many do they need for the in-school suspension? Is that just one more after the Saturday school?
So, confiscation and detention, mark, Saturday, automatic Saturday school,
Third mark is the.
and then the third one is in school suspension.
So a fourth mark
So
is
it's-
in school?
Pardon?
A fourth mark basically is in-school suspension?
Yes,
And a fifth is out of school?
And is that within a month, or is that? the
no,
whole
it's
year?
the whole year.
The whole year. So it's just basically doing the same action.
And what's the data look like from this year for students abusing the privilege? As
I
far as,
don't have the data.
Well, my kids have been waiting for a month and they haven't had any consequences. So it was clearly not enforced because my kids had their watch for a month and they didn't get a great, I wasn't even
My
aware.
daughter texted me today for money because they went to Costco.
Because they went to
again.
Costco,
Right,
yes.
She didn't know. I know.
They went to what?
They went to Costco for lunch for.
They have the money on the phone?
Well, they needed money,
They
they
needed
didn't know they
money.
were going.
Yeah.
I
know.
It's not working.
Same thing.
Well, it's not being enforced, I don't think it's
Yeah,
being
we didn't
enforced.
know, we didn't know that,
Yeah.
yeah. And so that's the only way to get money to them is to transfer it to the fund.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
So I think there has to be, I agree with, like, the intent of not having it at school, but I just,
Definitely was distracting, learning.
So,
yes, but here it shows like,
Yeah.
look, you
so
can't
if
go.
you allow the kids to go out with their phone, the next thing is they're gonna take a picture and put it on their Instagram.
Mhm.
Or something happened, they videotape it and put it during the school time. That's what some, not all, some of them will be
Could you
doing.
put just for payment only or for cash payment?
I spent hours upon hours
So,
to configure that watch, and it's so complicated. And there's so many loopholes, so
Yeah.
I think it's either you do it or you don't, but the whole halfway is kind of like.
so.
No, and that's what made me think of that was the
Yeah.
Costco thing today. It was like,
If you need,
Yeah,
if
how
you
much
need
do
more
you pay?
time, you can, at the June meeting, we won't be having a lot of discussion. Send me all the things, if you need data, whatever it is, so that we'll take 2 minutes to vote.
okay, I think that'd be
Okay.
good.
Those are
Yeah.
good though. I mean, the proposed
Yes.
changes make sense. You,
Okay.
probably explosion seems a little extreme.
Yes.
Yeah.
So your thing is what, because what you just talked about was not captured in the current one anyway.
Right,
Right.
but
So-
now, yeah,
So
so,
what's the issue then?
well, it's just,
Ignore it.
it's just, is it going to be, teachers are going to be selective, and so some
Right.
of them may go, oh, policy is, and they're standing at the counter to pay, and they pull out their device.
No, I think our teachers will have some, I mean,
They have some
the-
discretion.
so it's something that probably need to be raised and then see whether or not it won't have any other abuse or something like that. Because I don't know. I think that case is not captured in the current one anyway.
Right, it's not.
So the only thing that's changing is when you get to when you get to the building, it starts until you leave. So in between whatever other, I think whatever other use is in the policy at some point. Maybe if it is a wallet, that's something, but maybe that need to be.
And so they would be expected to put their device in a locker, because what if they come in with a device,
They put it in the locker.
they're in the locker?
Yeah.
Leave it in there until the end of the day.
And I think that is working effectively. I mean, that's
Yeah.
so taken from a parent.
And the good thing is, for our school is not new. That's always been the thing. But by the way, now it's even more relaxed, because when I first arrived, what I found here is we don't hear it or see it. If teachers saw it and hear it, they take the phone, put it at the administration, and it's only on Wednesdays the parent can come and take it. Only. If your phone is taken on Thursday, all the way Wednesday. That's having the rule, and people abide by that.
Yeah.
That was the rules. So for the whole, now the kids will be crazy if you take it for 1 day only. So I don't know, maybe we have been allowing more and more things that kids are learning things now, and it's become challenging for the teachers.
If
But
you
that
had a
was the
parent in
case.
the hospital, if you had a grandparent in the hospital, and you'd want to be able to get a hold of your kid, or they would want to know, like a status on them, then you wouldn't be able to do anything with your phone.
Well, you can call the administration.
Yeah, you can.
I mean, that's the emergency as well.
They have phone in the classrooms, and then they can phone over there too.
Yeah.
The thing is, I have 2 kids, of course, here.
Yeah.
I'm saying, what did you do 10 years ago?
Well, this is also, I think we have to remember the electronic devices is in, that's part of Senate Bill 68.
Right.
That's now Missouri law that they have to be banned.
Yes, the policy is up to each schools, but every school needs to have this policy, a policy. So we've always had a policy for us, so we will in compliance anyway. Now, at the point is, I think everybody agree. I want to just try to find solution, move forward. That everybody, is anybody who has an issue with school day start when they get to the building?
No.
Okay, that's good. Is everybody agree that the first rule of consequence is too complicated, and the second one is better? when we don't wanna expel the kids because of the phone.
Yeah.
Right,
Okay?
right. Yeah,
So-
which I agree with that.
Do you agree with that? So
Yes.
the rest is
The
your,
rest is just some of
your,
those.
your concern, what you raised, that we need to see whether or not it is addressed in the rule.
Yeah,
So let's then vote for the motion to revise it.
yes. Can I get a motion to revise the student use of electronic personal communication devices, policy 2656? Okay, can we get a second?
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, good, thank
Motion
you.
carries. Okay.
So you can send
I
me
know,
whatever you happening, because you don't know those things. I
I
have two
will
kids.
say, I've also gone on field trips and they don't bring them. It's literally, I think, just for the pay.
It is just for the paying, yeah.
Give them, it's good to get the money.
Yeah.
I think with,
Yeah, there are some places that don't take cash.
oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's, okay.
Yeah, if you go to Cheesecake now, card only.
Yeah, they will
no
not take
cash.
cash.
Oh, I see, okay.
Yeah.
So, for H1B updates, as we just said, 1 to 20 teachers, which is fantastic. And then we have one, we're waiting on that, and thank you, Laura, you worked really hard with the lawyer and taking all the paperwork, the recommendations, and sending them there, and it pays off. Thank you so much. So we have one teacher we're still waiting. We have a director of operation who just accepted, and starting date is pending. So we will be fully staffed in the central admin for the first time ever, probably. So we're working on the culture of civility for next year. So Laura is just trying to see what you say, rewire our admin culture and our culture in general, looking into that and clarify it. So the Mizzou Safety Conference, we had a team who attended the Mizzou Safety Conference in St. Louis. They reviewed the threat assessment protocol created, and then also the service response team. There are so many things that Senate vote or bills that we need to be in compliance with. So that's important. So admin contract has been created and sent out, and summer school contract also is in progress. So for the bonds, we have been working with the team for the windows and the HVAC at Oak, the planning, and we're almost there. We have made some choices for the windows and also for the HVAC system that we're going to install. We hope that phase 1 will be finalized this year and phase 2 the next summer. The gymnasium here, we're still waiting, as you know, pending the decision regarding Westport. Once we made the decision, we'll know where to shift our attention, here or at the other building. Any question about anything in general? Good, thank you. We can talk about the.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, did we ever get the security guard started up? Forget where we landed.
No, not yet.
Okay.
But it's something that we've discussed and is highly needed.
Yep.
We want to make sure that when we start next school year, we have it in place.
Next school year.
So we are in the budget?
Yeah.
Tentative placeholder, 80,000.
Put that. So what we're trying to do is outsource it, or hire somebody, but outsource it is what we really think that's probably what we will be doing.
And that was to have the resource officer on campus here at
Yeah,
Armour,
yeah.
and then also doing the traffic stuff like that.
Mainly here, and especially having the metal detector, we're gonna put it there, and then also helping in here for discipline. Because the traffic is also the teacher doing it.
Yeah,
So one person can't do it.
right. Yeah, okay. So we have a close up, I'm just kidding.
So.
That is
I didn't know just how much you hate.
Sorry. That was really cruel. Sorry about that. No, I just want to talk about the agenda for the, so we've got our strategic planning, our retreat on June 13th, Saturday? Yeah, and so that's from 8:30 to 11, or 8:30 to 12:30. So the strategic planning session will be 8:30 to 11:30, and then we'll have a board meeting scheduled from 11:30 to 12:30, which I don't think we usually take that much time, but in that board meeting, we will hopefully, knock on wood, approve the budget. And then I think we have 2 people that are up for reelection. I know you're one. So you're staying. Yeah, no, I think Pam, you might be the other one. So we'll do those votes.
3 years?
I think so.
Wow.
Sometimes.
And so for our strategic planning agenda, we have, of course, the strategic plan, the updates that just covered. I know Pam, a couple of months ago, when we talked about and voted on changing the boundaries for enrollment, she asked that we revisit that in the strategic planning session, so we will do that. And
Where's it at?
and we don't know yet.
At the Aurora or the?
The
It's
Plex Club?
at Swope Health at their PACE.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Good, thank you.
Yeah.
We'll also look at the, review our portal for graduates and review it quickly. We
Yeah.
already have one and we'll discuss it with our council record, but also making sure that every board members, everybody understand. So we will have maybe 39 people, the board, parents, rep, teachers, rep, students, and admin, of course.
And then we may, and we're going to have a meeting with the facilitator. If we have time, we'd like to do a board review. If not, we will at least start that process and complete it in the next board meeting or something. So we'll just kind of see how the timing is working out with everything we want to cram into that action-packed 3 hours. And then just a reminder, no board meeting or committee meetings in July. It's like everybody gets July, except if you need us to have a special, a special Zoom board meeting on anything related to purchase. So, and with that, I think we are officially adjourned.